Hey guys, welcome back to the Syndicate. Today we've got an awesome show planned. We've got Adam Draper from Boost VC, bringing him to the program to talk VR, AI, blockchain, the future of everything. Thanks for coming today, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fantastic.
So I'd like to ask people how they got into venture, but for you, it's a little bit different. What's it like growing up in one of venture's oldest families?
So actually, it's still a good question for me, because I do feel everyone has a different story to get in. I'm happy to talk about my family, who I'm very proud of, and have done a bunch of weird. Uh, I so I, how I okay. Here, my background is I went to high school on the East Coast. I went to a place called Andover, and then in between high school and college, I played tennis in Australia for about 12 months. Sorry, 9 months. Um, and the and then I went to UCLA, and I was on the tennis team there. And then as I graduated from school, I was an English major. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but one of my friends, Thomas Foley, approached me and said, "Hey, I want to solve the liquidity problem in venture capital, and I have this idea for it." And I had no idea what he was talking about, even though I was from a venture capital family. Um, and so I had to learn a lot. And what I really learned after I started working on the project and going on and co-founding this company with Thomas Foley, which soon became named Expert Financial, was that I loved solving unsolvable problems, and that's what really startups are all about. And so over 4.5 years, I founded a company. We built it up. We did some transactions. We in 2008. It was 2008, by the way, 2008, 2009. And we were starting a financial company, which was like impossible to do then. And so we became a broker dealer. We became an ATS. All these things that are coming back in style. And over 4.5 years, we also made every mistake known to man. So we made hiring mistakes, firing mistakes. We made fundraising mistakes, product mistakes, just every possible mistake, because how you learn is through doing it, and you can't do it right every time. I always say, every day you're making hundreds of decisions. You're not going to make them all correct. And you just want to make more correct decisions than not correct decisions. And so so after 4.5 years, I found that I started to mentor a couple companies, and one of my companies that I was mentoring came up with their idea, built a product, and raised capital while I was in the process of sort of supporting them. And it was really fun. I found it very fulfilling that I was able to help these people not make the same mistakes I did. And so when I left Expert Financial, after 4.5 years, I decided to I decided to mentor startups. Mentoring startups in bulk is called an accelerator. So I guess this is a long way of saying, like, I wasn't like, I didn't know I wanted to be a venture capitalist until I realized that I really just liked helping people figure out what they wanted to do, and venture capital is a really great way to do that. And I'm after getting the experience of starting a company, I was able to actually help entrepreneurs, and that was really that's the fun part. I get idea high, so like when someone has a really good idea, like I jump on it, I build up off of it, like I just think about what it could be and how awesome it is, and like that's what you get in venture capital, like every day. Where new people, smart people, all risk takers, all trying to change the world, like that's the best for me.
When you get that idea high, how do you avoid FOMO?
Oh, I get anti FOMO. I don't know what it is where it's like if everyone is in, I less want it. Um, I think I don't know what it's called. It's called finding the other thing. I think someone just wrote a book called The Next Thing. It's figuring out what that thing is. Because knowing the time horizon of venture capital, especially now. So we've been in Bitcoin and crypto for like 5 or 6 years now, and now it's taking off. now understanding like emotionally how long it takes for a technology to take off, like it's really important to be thinking on long-term time horizons and getting in and supporting something with all you've got. And that's what we do. We're like at Boost VC, like we go in, when we go in big. We back all these startup ideas, and then we support them all the way through until the industry is normal. And crypto is still not normal. It's still on the edge, and it's wild. It's crazy right now.
Wild West.
Yeah, it is crazy, wild west. It's like Wild West if they're trying to build a city at the same time as being Wild West. It's like they're not really saloons anymore. It's like they're trying to build these bigger buildings now. Yeah, but so we did the same thing in VR. Like we got really excited about virtual reality. We went in, and right now it's less exciting for a lot of investors. But that's my favorite time to be in, because you really get to support and be the backbone for an industry. And that's what we got to be for Bitcoin and crypto, and now we get to be it for VR. And I think I'm right. Like we are right twice on sector. I just hope timing is correct, and that's something that the market decides. The market is an unforgiving beast.
Timing's incredibly hard. I just saw Pantera Capital, the first blockchain hedge fund, I believe. Mm-hmm. They're up 25,000% since starting. It's unbelievable getting in early on that. So Boost VC, tell me a little bit more about what you guys do, how you vet out founders, and how you help.
Yeah, so we're an accelerator program. We focus on what we like to say we're a family of founders making science fiction a reality. Twice a year, we run a 3-month program where we provide housing, office space, and we invest in startups. And it was really funny. For like a year, we didn't even have we invest in startups on our website, and we just realized that. And I don't know how that was like something that went overlooked. Now it's what it says. That's like all our website says is we invest in startups. And so what we do is that we invest in about 50 deals a year. And what the companies get is a community in the middle of Silicon Valley. We work as sort of a home base if you're outside the Silicon Valley, and we work as a network builder for those who are inside Silicon Valley. And we hold companies accountable. We make sure that they're sort of focused on the right things, not the wrong things. We've done this about 10 times now, so we've backed about 225 startups at this point. Our companies, depending on whether or not you include ICO money. So if you include ICO money, our companies have raised upwards of like $1.3 billion after our program, which is a lot. And actually, I think it's even more than that now. But then if you don't include it, it's somewhere around 400 million, I think. But we include it because ICOs are awesome. But so we try to be the background. We try to be the community for these sectors. We it's the entrepreneurs are the heroes. We just get to do what we do because we sort of have more or experience network building and in these specific sectors. And so we just try to support the entrepreneurs as much as we can.
I saw Funders Club and Coinbase. How'd you get those? Did they go through the program?
So 6 years ago, before I founded Boost VC, in between Expert Financial and Boost VC, I had a small period of time where I actually angel invested in a couple startups. So I've angel invested outside of Boost VC in about 20 to 25 startups. Yeah, something like that. And in those, it was Funders Club, Coinbase, PlanGrid, Amplitude, and something called Sendwave, and like there are a lot of really great startups, a lot of really great founders that I ended up backing individually before I founded Boost VC. Since Boost VC, we've backed 220 startups, and it's been great. Yeah.
Talk to me about growing up in the venture scene, specifically how that impacts your future vision, what you see as the reality coming forward.
I mean, I think growing up in a venture capital family, I'm super proud of like what my family's been able to accomplish, and my generational successes of my great grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad, each building on different parts of the industry. My grandfather was one of the first. So my great grandfather was basically the first venture capitalist on the West Coast. My grandfather came over from I think it was Indiana from a steel mill and came out to work for his dad. And I don't need to give a full history lesson, but it is interesting. He then left and he founded something called Draper and Johnson with a guy named Pitch Johnson. They it was the orchards of Silicon Valley, and anything that said technology on it, they would pull off. They'd explain what venture capital was. And then my dad founded what became Draper, DFJ, but it's Draper Associates. He created this huge global network of 27 at its peak, different network-based venture funds all over the world, through which they were able to fund companies like Baidu or Skype. And then so that's like the lineage. I think what I've gotten out of just being raised by venture capitalists and a mom who's awesome is that really it's people. Like people do things, and it's really important that you just pick good people and you help them the best you can. You want to help change the world in the best way possible. You invest where you want the world to change. And what I've realized now, and the time horizon so long, like I think that's one of the things that people don't quite understand, that I think growing up in a venture capital family I did, was 10 years is 10 years. Like a 10-year fund, that's a long time. Like you're partnering with these LPs, you're partnering with you're partnering with these investments. Like this is going to be a long-term deal. And that's something that I think it doesn't innately come to people until a certain amount of time has passed as being a venture capitalist, where returns aren't immediate. It takes a very long time to return money. And yeah, there's just so much. My grandfather and father and other, like, my sister and my brother are both venture capitalists now too. And I think that we get to support the true heroes, and it's one of those, where do we want the world to go? And we get to think about where we want to go. I think big venture capital, I think, should be always about putting the change into the world and innovating, and finding the right people to lead the world. At Boost VC, we've just now realized that, all of our alumni from the program, we've backed 85 to 90 crypto-related startups, are like the leaders of industry now. I did personally back Brian Armstrong, but we backed the guy who runs the Litecoin Foundation. We backed the person who's the head of development for the Ethereum Classic Foundation, Elaine Wu. We backed just an incredible group of people who grew with the market and just became leaders. And so that's super exciting to me. Like the fact that we have this direct impact on an industry that has an impact on the world. And so we're really excited about that type of thing, like world changing in the way that we want it to.
Did you put a decent chunk of change into any of the cryptocurrencies as you were getting in?
Well, so when we started, we cryptocurrencies weren't a thing. There was one, and it was Bitcoin. And not through the fund, we actually chose not to hold any Bitcoin in the fund, even though that would have been a good idea. And the reason was we felt that our LPs could own it themselves. It wasn't taking any, I'm not going to take 2% and 20% on holding an asset. It would be like holding gold and charging 2 and 20. But it turns out that it still would have been a great financial return. And looking back retrospectively, yeah, it would have been a good idea. I still think long term we're right. Like these minds who are changing the industry and building up these tokens are going to be where a lot of the value lies, and that's still super exciting to me. Yeah, I think a piece of us wishes we had, but we didn't. So
yeah, you don't live with regrets. So a question: You're working with a ton of crypto companies. How do you and how do the companies that you deal with handle equity tokens? They're not entirely aligned.
This is the biggest problem. It's not necessarily the biggest. Well, it is. Incentives. Incentives are always the biggest problem of any project. How people's incentives are aligned. And so I think we have more experience almost than anyone else where our companies retroactively are doing ICOs. And so like we backed a company that was building on the Bitcoin blockchain, and then they did an ICO to be, to fundraise, but they've been a part of the ecosystem. So they had a big like ICO, like we're the first check in Aragon, which was one of the biggest ICOs. Well, not one of the, it was 25 million in 15 minutes or something like that, which is crazy. We backed Repio a long time ago, and they just launched, and they have a great tradable token that's doing really, really well. And all of these projects have to think about the alignment of their protocol with their company, because they are technically two different projects. And so then we have to ask the question, what do we own? Like, if you're launching a new token, does the company own any of it? Or do the founders? Because technically, as an investor, I'm investing in the founders, hoping that they figure it out. And we sort of have this assumed expectation that we will be a part of wherever the value is going to be. But really, we've had to talk to all of our founders about this. This is still an unpaved world. Like, it's not founders, like no one knows what the answer is. And so we're trying to figure that out. And so going forward, we've changed our documents to reflect an answer. And then retroactively, we just talk to our teams as they're going through ICOs and say sort of what we expect. So I'd say that's an interesting thing that we uniquely have to deal with in reference to the rest of the market, just because we've done so many. But other than that, it's really exciting. I would say is the main thing. Like, I love worlds where the rules haven't been made yet, and like the crypto world is so dynamic, and they argue over everything. And it's really exciting. But the things that people get mad about, it's like, well, that had never happened before, so we didn't know that people could get mad about it. And so now, like, people are learning. Like, it's self-policing in a way where people do things and then other people get mad about the incentive alignment or whatever it is. And I feel that from all of this, there are a lot of like just genuine standards that are being created about how ICOs will operate. There are still scam coins, and like as a general rule of thumb, we haven't backed any that have been backed by a celebrity. But like, it's more about just us knowing where the future of these things are and being in the industry for 5 years. And it's nothing against celebrities. It's just that they probably haven't been paying attention to crypto for like 6 years or whatever. Yeah, so that's what I feel.
Is it fair to say that the vast majority are just founders that couldn't raise VC money? I think there's a lot of projects that will be transformational, but the technology and more so the incentivization structures that it creates will be transformational.
So a piece of what you asked me about my family, a piece of like what I'm really curious about the crypto space for is the fact that it transforms venture capital. Like, in a way, we've completely decentralized fundraising so that anyone can be a venture capitalist. Even though these tokens don't technically represent equity, the potential of them can. Some form of equity. These networks and equity, like, there needs to be definitions, there needs to be a big education of what all of these things mean and how they work. But but that will come. Like that's the next transition, is really just an education of how everything works. So do I think that all of them are people who couldn't have raised from venture capitalists? No, I don't. I don't think that is technically true. I think a lot of them wanted to raise this way because they wanted to jumpstart a user base and jumpstart excitement and have people have ownership in the network that they're building out. Because, and I'm not saying that some aren't. Some of them do just are doing it for fundraising. But there are a lot of really great projects that are really like, they couldn't do the old business model. It doesn't make sense for them to be like, Aragon is a decentralized governance structure platform. Like there's in venture capital, it's like, where is the value? Where's the money going to be made if you don't have a token? And like those are the types of projects that work extremely well for ICOs, where some others don't necessarily.
Talk a little bit about how you would structure, set up a fund, et cetera, for rules. So one of the big challenges that could be out there, unless you have some type of cliff vesting, et cetera, on the tokens, is I'm investing in a company, I'm a venture capitalist, and I want to take my money out, and suddenly that trashes the market.
Well, it could. I mean, it's a marketplace, so like, you know, it's buyer beware, seller beware. So is the question if for someone who's setting up a fund, how to participate? Is that sort of what the question is, or like?
If you could have the broad brushstrokes in terms of how you would define the industry, define how it should work.
So how it should work is alignment of incentives. So if we back startups who happen to end up doing token raises, we should have an equal proportion of whatever the company gets. So whatever the founders and the company get. If the founders are issuing themselves more tokens, we should get more tokens. That's basically the only rule in my book, is that I want to always be aligned with the founders and the company. But a lot of these times, a lot of these tokens are actually issuing the founders more additional tokens after we've invested, or other people have invested. And that becomes sort of this different world of like seeing money instead of seeing value in building a company. And you always want to reward the people who are there for you at the beginning. And that's one of the fun parts of being an investor, is like I get to support people from the very beginning. So if I were an investor getting into the space, my thought process is have something in your terms that says, if you happen to do an ICO, this is what we have literally. We own, and you issue the founders or the company additional tokens, we own additional tokens.
That makes sense, but I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but what you don't want to necessarily do is turn early stage investing into a stock market, because the stock market only sees what happened yesterday and doesn't think about what's going to happen several years from now. That's typically been the role of private investment, to be able to play those longer term games, because the public markets can't do it, or don't do it effectively.
Yeah. I mean, so I think what we've realized is that these tokens have unlocked this new asset class that there's crazy demand for. Like there's $300 billion worth of crypto assets today. And as an individual, my thing is, I think people should be able to do what they want with their money. Like that, I think people should understand it. I want everyone to be educated. I want everyone to understand it. And I do feel a piece of my job is really a translator, like, of what this means. Like I've never directly given anyone advice to buy anything. I just want them to understand what Bitcoin is, what Ethereum is, what all these things are. And once you understand that, I think that there's crazy demand for this new asset class, and it's showing that there is demand to say whether everyone should is a short-term investor or a long-term investor. Like it depends. It's situational. It's not in my it shouldn't be governed by me. It should be governed by every individual. And that's why I'm so excited about crypto. Like I'm no longer governed by, like, most people in the crypto network aren't governed by their bank. You can move your value, you can move your money very, very easily all around the world. And that's the blessing that is this new world that exists. It's just decentralized value. Yeah.
It creates, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It creates a bit of a dangerous situation for the institutions, governments, banks, etc. Do you foresee backlash coming soon?
So, yeah, it's already starting a little bit. I think the first question that Bitcoin made everyone ask was, what is money? And I think the answer is overwhelmingly like, well, it's value, it's trust, it's all of the things that everyone believes it to be, but does it need to be held in a bank? Like, is what the actual answer ended up being. And I think people are overwhelmingly saying, like, I would like to be in control of money or have a different way to be able to store more money. And if you design money today, it would not look like paper. That just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually was going down a different path. What was the question?
Basically, money is power, and without the power of money, what's the point of government?
So the next question, sorry, I did have a direction. The next question that everyone's going to be asking is, what is government? Because if they're not the people issuing our money, like, what do they do? And it's going to have a huge clash. Already governments are starting to compete on who is the most blockchain friendly and token friendly. Right now, companies have to go outside of the US to create a structure that allows for them to do an ICO. That's crazy. Like, the US should definitely be, like, is losing out on huge amount of tax revenue because they are being unfriendly to this industry. And I think that's going to lead to competition, which gives the beneficiaries, which are the consumers, which is everyone who lives in all the countries, better rules to make everything better. But they will also realize that suddenly they are not printing everyone's money, and they will start to realize that they need to provide a better service to the citizens of their countries. That's going to be the best result that happens from crypto, is the governments start to operate more transparently and better rules.
But that's like against the nature of government. It's always more paperwork. That's the problem. It creates an interesting clash. It's not something that you know. It's not something that I know. It's one of those interesting things to debate.
Yeah, it's a future thing. I do see a more fluid, liquid. Like, if you think about it, like, we can already travel all over the world, like, but our jurisdiction doesn't travel with us. Like, our government doesn't travel with us. But that's like a weird concept. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm on foreign soil, or like whatever. Like, technically, we should be fluid in how our governments work. And does it need to be geographical? Like, I think honestly, virtual reality is going to change the need for borders and travel and, like, lots of cool things.
Well, that, and when a species goes interplanetary, then traditionally you need one government. Otherwise, there's complications.
And you need a better payment system than paper.
Jesus, mailing paper. So let's I have one last question before we jump into the lightning round. I heard you're pretty big on Super Smash Brothers N64. It's the greatest game ever.
Good.
You competitive? How would it go?
So so me and my partner Brayden, we play a fair amount. Probably like once a day is sort of what we do. We
so jealous.
One game a day in our back room, and and I think we're really good one-on-one if it were a 4-person game, and it's just based off of, like, what we've done over the last 6 years of working together. We wouldn't be as good in sort of a melee scenario, but I think I'm good. I want to go into a tournament and see if I'm bad or good. Like, it would be really great. I think I would love to do that. It would be I should put it on my bucket list, actually. Participate in a Super Smash tourney.
N64, right?
N64, yeah.
Absolutely. The other ones are shit. It's such a great game. We played it so much through college, and it just came up.
Yeah, no, I played it high school through college. Like, it is the one thing that has followed me my entire life. I'm also incredible at Mario Kart. I would say if there was a tournament for Mario Kart, I would rank. I'd be pretty good.
So is it fair to say if a founder can beat you at Super Smash, they at least get the meeting?
Yeah. And by the way, there's a story out there where I played someone for terms, and it was basically 2-on-1. And it was this company called Make School. I seed invested in Make School, which is a great founders, Ashu and Jeremy. And they had been playing Super Smash for the N64. They played a lot. And I said, hey, I'm really good. We should play sometime. And we went back. We ended up betting terms on it. And the terms were better for me if I won. Terms were better for them if they won. And I mean, I had already sort of made the decision to invest. It was just sort of a how much and at what valuation. And I destroyed them. It was awesome. And and so I got my terms. I ended up actually investing more just because they did this thing, and they did this Super Smash Brothers tournament. So yes, I would love to be challenged by a Super Smash. I'm competent, and it depends who I'm playing with, but I generally say I'm competent with most players. I'm not great with Link, but I can play with most things.
Link sucks. That would make a great esports VC reality TV show. The founders come on and have to fight him.
Oh yeah, that'd be a great
deal flow.
Well, it'd be great deal flow, but it'd be great deciding. You've already made it's the tiebreaker. It'd be a great tiebreaker. Okay, we're sort of on the fringe here. And honestly, I think one of the reasons that Brayton and my partnership works so well is that we have Super Smash Brothers, because whenever one of us is frustrated with the other, it sort of diffuses a little bit over a game of Super Smash, and then we're calm, and most of our anxiety is not in it doesn't need to be taken out on each other. And we know that we're generally trying to do what's right for Boost VC, and it's really funny. So I recommend everyone have a competitive thing with their partners.
It's a great way to bond, beat the shit out of each other, and get back to business. I want to jump to the lightning round. How's that sound, Adam?
Lightning round, yeah, do it.
Okay, first investment.
It was a company called Path. The founders were Dave Morin and Sean Fanning. Sean Fanning was one of the co-founders of Napster.
Dang, you've had some phenomenal portfolio companies. What are you excited about today?
So that's a great question. I'm obviously extremely excited about crypto. I think that it just the sheer momentum it has right now is very intoxicating, would be the way I would say it. And inside of that, I'm excited about, honestly, the CryptoKitty thing. I don't think it's a joke. I think it's a big deal. I think limited assets is sort of a really interesting concept. And then I'm excited about better UI UX. We're starting to back companies that are literally just thinking about the next generation of UI UX in blockchain, because everything's garbage. Then in virtual reality, I'm really excited about business to business. I love playing games in VR. And then the next level, I think, is going to be companion apps, where basically we need to be trained as humans. And right now our habit is looking at our phone, and our phone needs to tell us to go into VR. And so I think all these VR experiences are going to have a companion app on the phone that starts telling us to train us to go into virtual reality. Because the one thing that VR doesn't have right now is basically it's repeat users, and it's not because it doesn't add value. I take pitch meetings in VR, and I can tell you, I've accepted deals through my pitch meetings in VR because they're good. it is a better system for taking pitches than Skype or anything. I'm sort of trying to start a VR Shark Tank in VR. It's like I'm calling it VR Tank or Vert Tank, Shark Tank. And then but then we have this whole sci-fi bucket, and the sci-fi bucket, it's sort of like we're looking to the future to figure out where the next industries are. I have a thesis, but I haven't been proven right or wrong on my thesis yet. That the next generation will be human augmentation, and that doesn't mean necessarily bio, but there is a bio probably element to a lot of the things. I think that the cost of starting a bio company is going down, talent is going up. You could be an 18-year-old in biohack. Like, all of these things are really exciting features. You don't need $1 billion to start a bio company. You can do it with, it's like $200,000 now, but it'll go down more. So bio is one part of human augmentation. The other part is computers on the body that produce output. So right now, the biggest problem, and AR, VR is sort of a piece of this, but right now, the biggest problem is I have all these gadgets, my watch, they give me all this data, and the data I don't care about. I don't care about the data. Like, the company might care about the data because they're like, hey, we could trigger them to eat more food, or trigger them to do, they could trigger me to do things. But like, I don't do anything with the data. It doesn't make me better. But what if you could have shoes that make you jump higher? What if you could have, live longer? What if you could, there are a lot of this sort of, I'm calling them exoskeletons, but like that type of stuff that is very real now that's coming along. And so that's really the next like conceptual thing, that's sort of my next world that I'm playing with is human augmentation. We've made a couple exoskeleton investments. We've made a couple jetpack investments. We're just we're learning, and we're trying to back the leaders that we think will be there for the next 10 to 20 years. So,
trying to compete with Elon Musk to be Iron Man.
Well, I think I'm going to be flying in a jetpack before him. So, yeah.
If he's on Mars, then he's totally cool with it. So what's anti-portfolio? Anybody big you've missed?
I really, so I have two, and it's not even that they were official pitches and they were from my seed investment portfolio. And I have two, but I do have two for when I was seed investing before I started Boost VC. There were two deals that became billion-dollar companies that I wanted to do, and I just should have pushed harder for. One, I met Logan Green from Lyft the week before he was launching his product, and he had to raise a $1.5 million round to launch his product, and we talked about it a little bit. And it was at a party, so I wasn't like, it wasn't a serious pitch, but I genuinely in my head was thinking like, this is interesting, and Uber's sort of a thing. This was nothing was a thing. Like Uber had started and launched a year before, and people were using it. It was doing pretty well, but like it hadn't. Nothing was owning the world yet, and so I miss Logan, and he is without a doubt. He's a nice person. Like, just he is good for the world, and I am so glad that he is leading the charge and making Lyft the dominant thing it is, because his DNA will just make the world a better place. Same with Brian Armstrong at Coinbase. Same with like a lot of the founders I backed. I'm like so proud that it's sort of like, I like when good people make it. Like, that's always good. The other one is Zen Payroll, which turned into Gusto, which is like a huge billion-dollar company, crushing it now. And I didn't prioritize that meeting, and I definitely would have done that deal. And I should have met before they closed, because they closed very, very quickly, their seed round. And if I had prioritized that deal, I could have put a small check, but it would have been worth a lot now. So.
Yeah, they all hurt, but at the same time, you live and learn.
Yeah, no, I'm never. they weren't a part of my story. My story is, and the one deal I did do, Coinbase, like in my first unicorn, as it were, like it defined my entire career. I ended up getting it in deep into the crypto space. We ended up launching a crypto related fund. Like that is way more defining. Like Brian Armstrong has had a bigger impact on my life than most things in the world. So like that investment is completely worth everything that's happened since.
What's overhyped today?
AR. I'm a VR AR investor, and I think AR is overhyped. So I love it for all those founders who are like, oh my god, yeah. Like I love augmented reality, and I think it is the future, but it's going through the rise that VR went through 4 years ago. Like it's this spike where people are using it as a marketing thing, and the actual products aren't there yet, and so I think that'll fade in 2018, and it's going to be a huge dominant thing in the world. It's just not this year, and that's the thing that I think is a little overhyped right now. I mean, yeah. Let's see, what else would I say is overhyped? I mean, right now, all anyone talks to me about is crypto right now, and that doesn't. I don't actually think it's overhyped. I think it's sort of like on par with what the actual value will be long term. But that's just exciting.
Yeah, short term overhyped, but long term huge potential. That's my take. What tools, resources, sites, blogs, podcasts, etc. are you reading, listening to daily basis, or the things that inform your decisions?
So I should give my dad. My dad just finished a book. I just read that. That's a good. I'm going to plug it. It's The Startup Hero, and I think a lot of people should read it. It's definitely got a lot of good tidbits of wisdom and activities to do and stuff. Let's hear what else. Resources. So actually, this is for fund people, for VCs. We use something called Notion. It's like a great wiki product, and I think that it's becoming crazy valuable to us. So I would recommend it to almost everyone. It's like a wiki it's like your command center for everything in one place. And we use Streak, which is a CRM tool, and so those are sort of the tools we use in Gmail. Like the normal person. I would say, what do I consistently? I mean, Twitter. I use Twitter to find like almost all my news now. It is really, really efficient just to be able to get snippets of what's going on immediately. I'm trying to read more. I read a lot of science fiction. I read a book called Titan. On a consistent basis, what do I like to read on a consistent basis? I think, honestly, I've been reading a lot of Elaine Wu's blog posts recently, and I think she is a very unique thinker that should, like, one of those, no one, she's just very unique thinker. She's the one she's on the dev team for Ethereum Classic. She's awesome. But when I read her stuff, I'm just like, this is a different perspective. And I just want different perspectives. Like when I'm reading, I don't want the same thing. I don't want people to agree with me. I don't want, self-validation is always nice, but I generally like to see other perspectives, and hers are definitely different than mine. So
I'm guessing
I learn a lot. It's where I learn. I want to learn more. So that's the whole thing. I'm curious. I always just want to learn more. And then podcasts, my podcast, Boost VC podcast. That's all I listen to. It's not all I listen, but I'm just plugging.
No worries. If you record it yourself and that's all you listen to, it gets really rough after a while. It's terrible hearing yourself.
Oh yeah, and really, verbally, it's one of those things where I can't tell if I'm doing better or worse in a show, even if I do re-listen to it. Like I'm like, it's weird to be judging your voice. Where if I write a blog post, I can tell how bad it is. Like I can't tell how to be better in the podcasting scenario. I think I have gotten better after 40 episodes or whatever, but it's an interesting thing. Podcast is doing great though. So we're pumped.
Very cool. I'm not great at it, but shut up and listen usually works well.
Yeah. Consistency. That's the only thing that you need to be. Release consistently, same way, all the time, every time.
You guys heard it here first. I know you're a busy guy, Adam. Where's the best place for people to check you out and say hey?
So on Twitter at Adam Draper, and then my email address is adam@boost.vc if people have any questions or want to send me deals.
Guys, say hey, reach out, say thanks for coming on the show, talking crypto, talking futuristic awesomeness. We have a pretty incredible roundtable coming up later, actually. I need to talk to you. Would be a great guest for this one. We're having Tim O'Reilly, James Allworth, Ben Gilbert, and Jeff Morris Jr. on the program. But if you guys want to check that out, by the time this it'll be awesome. I'm excited, and at the same time, I'm freaking tired. It's time to go grab some coffee. So, guys, this has hopefully been an awesome episode. If you've loved it,
me too. I haven't had my morning coffee, and you're like addicted to a substance. When I had 2 brain farts in the middle of this.
Cheers, guys.